Good evening, teachers. Alcira, Cristian, Eliana. Good evening, Piaget, Educa. Welcome, teachers. Cari, Karina, Liliana, Raisa. Welcome, everyone. Well, teachers, let's start this training. I hope everyone is fine today. And now let's start. Let's start. Christian, good evening, teacher. Well, let's continue this training. Let's continue with case study number 15. 15, because last classes we reviewed some situations or case studies, and today let's continue with more situations in order to reinforce, review, and refresh. Number 15. Bruno wants his students to use the following expressions in a conversation. In other words, to put it differently, and let me put it in another way. Which of the following language functions is Bruno trying to promote? A, giving clarifications. B, giving commands. C, giving opinions. A, B, or C. Number 15. It's important, teachers, when you solve any situation, first of all, read as a global understanding in order to know what is the topic. Then, identify what is the topic, the purpose, and the question. Analyze option by option, alternative by alternative. As you notice, this situation based on language function. Now, first of all, share your answer, and then I'm going to read your answers and analyze situation number 15. Finally, I'm going to give you the correct option or alternative. You can use the chat box in Zoom in order to write your answer. Number 15, A, B, or C. Number 15. Let me see. Number 15. Teachers Eliana, Cari, A, Karina, A, Alcira. Good evening, teacher Alcira. Welcome. A. And the rest of the teachers, it's important your interaction, teacher. Write your answer. If you confuse, take it easy. You are here in order to practice, to review, to clarify. Teacher Wilton B. Most of you share option A. Only a teacher share option B. Let's analyze. As you notice, this situation or case study based on language function. This is the topic. Language functions. And you know, functional approach based on the language. Functional approach based on the language. And there are different types of language functions. For example, giving clarification, giving commands, giving opinions, apologizing, giving advice, etc. And each one has a specific expression, questions, or structures. In some cases, we need to present the chorus of a song or a fragment, okay, or a verse in order to identify the correct language function. It's important to take into account those expressions. Bruno wants his students to use the following expressions in a conversation. In other words, to put it differently. And let me put it in another way, My dear teachers, if not necessary to memorize the expressions, the whole expressions, structures, questions, it's important to read carefully the expressions and identify keywords to help you to choose the correct option. Which of the following language functions is Bruno trying to promote? A, giving clarifications. Giving clarifications. I emphasize in this term. For example, if you don't understand my explanation, I'm going to clarify because it's not clear. It's not clear. And for example, if you don't understand, say, Mrs. Rosa Berta or Mrs. on top. Rosa Berta, I don't understand what that thing mean, or please, could you repeat again, please? I say, in other words, let me put in another way in order to clarify, So those expressions correspond to the language function giving clarification. Giving commands, no, because giving commands, commands? Open your books, be quiet. This is giving commands. But here, in other words, to put it differently, let me put in another way. So giving clarification, because maybe the teacher explains something and some learners, they don't understand. It's not clear. For this reason, those expressions correspond to the language function giving clarification. Giving opinions, no, because in my view, in my point of view, in my opinion, but here you don't have those expressions. So those expressions correspond to the language function giving clarification. Option or alternative letter A. A. Well, is it clear? Don't worry, teachers, if you make mistakes here in this training. When you make mistake, you improve, you learn. Take it easy, but here in this training, the most important, teacher, you reflect on your mistake, right? Well, thank you, teacher Kari. Yes. Let's continue. Number 16. Greta's fifth grade students have been discussing about the values they consider important. In that context, she wants her students to develop their writing skills. Which of the following activities is least appropriate to achieve the teacher's purpose? A. In groups, the students make a workflow about values. The teacher asks the students to draw a cloud on a flip chart and tells them to fill in the cloud with words related to the topic. She highlights that the words they consider most important should be written with bigger letters in order to stand out from the other words. Option B. In groups, the students design a survey to find out which values are important among their schoolmates. They should write questions to identify the values they survey students have. Then, as homework, each student runs the survey, analyzes the answers, and writes some conclusions. C. In groups, the student write the script of a TV spot that points out similarities and differences between their own values and the values their parents had when they were teenagers. The teacher asked the students to include catchy ideas for the audience to get interested in the spot. A, B, or C? A, B, or C. Which of the following activities is least appropriate? Identify what is the topic, what is the purpose, and the question. Analyze alternative by alternative. Eliminate the alternative that you notice doesn't have relation to the topic, the purpose, and the question. When you have two options, for you it's easier to choose the correct one. Let's see, number 16. Number 16, teacher Alcira A, teacher Kari A. And the rest of the teachers, please, your interaction is very important. When you practice MASH, you know MASH. Well, the teachers share option A. Greta fifth grade students have been discussing about values they consider important. Values. In that context, she wants her students to develop, this is the purpose, to develop their writing skills. The purpose is to develop student writing skill. Writing. You know, writing is a productive skill. Productive skill. Which of the following activities is least appropriate? Least appropriate to achieve the teacher's purpose. What is the teacher's purpose? To develop student writing skill. In option A, in groups, the students make a word cloud, a word about values, because it is the topic about values. The teacher asks the students to draw a cloud on a flip chart and tells them to filling the cloud with words related to the topic. What topic? Values. She highlights that the words they consider most important should be written with bigger letters in order to stand out from the other words. But what is the purpose? The purpose is to develop students' writing skill, writing. But in option A, as you notice, only the students draw a cloud, and filling the cloud. Do you consider this activity is least appropriate in order the students develop their writing skills? Then let's analyze option B. In groups, the students design a survey to find out which values are important among their schoolmates. They should write questions to identify values that survey students have. Then, as homework, each student runs the survey, analyzes the answers, and writes some conclusions. Do you consider this activity in option B is least appropriate to achieve the teacher's purpose? Remember, the purpose is to develop student writing skill. See, in groups, the students write the script of a TV spot that points out similarities and differences between their own values and the values their parents had when they were teenagers. Their own values and the values their parents had when they were teenagers. The teacher asked the students to include ideas, catchy ideas for the audience to get interested in the spot. Well, here I have more answers. Let me see. Teachers Wilton, B. Teacher Griselli, B. B or A? Teacher Alcira and Carrie, A. Teacher Griselli and Wilton, B. A or B? Well, teachers, the question is, which of the following activities is least appropriate? Least appropriate. In option B, as you notice, the student designed a survey in order to find out which values are important. The students should write questions because it's a survey, in order to identify the value that survey students have. Then, as homework, each student runs the survey, analyzes the answers, and writes some conclusions. Do you consider this activity is least appropriate or is appropriate. And if you compare option A, in A only the students make a word cloud. You know a cloud? A word cloud about values. And the students draw a cloud in a flip chart and tell them to fill in the cloud with words, only words related to the topic. What is the topic? Values. She highlights that the words they consider most important should be written with bigger letters in order to stand out from the other words. Teachers, reflect on your answer. Which one is least appropriate? Least. What is the purpose? The purpose is to develop students' writing skills. Writing. Which one? A or B? Is least appropriate. Teacher Walter, A. Teacher Wilton, Teacher Riselli, reflect. A or B? If you realize your answer is incorrect, you can change because you reflect on your answer. Imagine you are taking your minute exam, teachers. You are not sure because you don't know, you don't remember, etc. But A or B? Teacher Wilton, Teacher Griselli. Option A, teachers. Option A. This activity in option A is least appropriate. Least, because only the students draw a cloud in the flip chart and tells them to fill in the cloud with words related to the topic. Only words, but the purpose is to develop students' writing skills. Writing. Only here they are going to fill in the cloud with bigger letters. No more. This is least appropriate. In B, learners are going to design a survey. You know what's a survey? They should write questions. So with this activity is appropriate in order to develop student writing skills. So the correct option is option A. This activity is least appropriate. Least appropriate. Is it clear, teacher Riselli? Walter Wilton? Teacher Cari Alcira? Teacher Griseli, yes, miss, yes, miss, yes. Don't worry, teachers, don't worry if you made mistakes here. Mistakes are part of your learning. Take it easy. We are teachers, yes, we are teachers, but we can make mistakes too. Why not? But the most important, teachers, the most important is you reflect on your mistake. You discover your mistake. Because for me, it's easy to say, okay, number 16, the correct option is A, and then continue with 17, 18. No, no, no. I explain, I analyze, I clarify, right? This is the purpose. Grisel is so sorry for the letters in capital. Don't worry, teacher, take it easy, calm down. Well, let's continue. Thank you, teacher. Thank you for your active participation. Number 17. Anna wants to help her students improve their speaking fluency through a group discussion. During the discussion, Anna wants her students to use the following expressions. Why do you think so? That's interesting. Tell me more. Which of the following language functions is involved in the expressions above? A. Agreeing or disagreeing. B. Keep a discussion going. C. Persuading others. A, B, or C. Number 17. Number 17, teachers. Alcira, Cari, B. Teacher Griseli, C. Verónica, B. Walter, C. B or C. B or C. Teacher Karina, B. Well, as you notice, this situation, number 17, based on language function. Anna wants to help her students improve their speaking fluency. Speaking is a productive skill through a group discussion. During the discussion, Anna wants her students to use the following expressions. Why do you think so? Because it's a discussion. Why do you think so? That's interesting. Tell me more. Tell me more. That's interesting. Why do you think so? Which of the following language functions is involved in the expressions above? Which of the following language functions? A, agreeing or disagreeing. You know agree? Disagree? Do you consider why do you think so? That's interesting. Tell me more. Correspond to the language function, agreeing or disagree. B, keep a discussion going. Keep a discussion going. You know, keep a discussion. Do you consider those expressions correspond to the language function, keep a discussion going? What does it mean, keep a discussion going? It means the discussion is in progress. It means the discussion has not yet concluded. Right? This is keep a discussion going. Why do you think so? That's interesting. Tell me more. Tell me more. Or persuading others. Persuading, you know, to persuade others, those questions correspond to the language function persuading. What do you think? Analyze, and then if you notice your answer is incorrect, you can change. Let me see. Come on, analyze. Persuading others. Okay, in order to influence, right? Influence others or someone's. Do you consider those questions correspond to the language function persuading others? Liliana, sí. Persuading others, teacher Liliana? Why do you think so? That's interesting. Tell me more. Do you consider those expressions correspond to the language function persuading? Persuading others, you know, is the process of influencing someone. Maybe based on attitudes, behavior, belief. Teacher Griselli B, option B after okay. You analyze and then you decide option B. Thank you, teacher Griselli, teacher Eliana. B, exactly, my dear teachers. The correct option or alternative is alternative or option B. B, keep a discussion going. Keep a discussion going. Okay, those expressions correspond to the language function, keep a discussion going. Teacher Walter B. Exactly. Very good, teachers. Well done. Well, as you notice, teachers, when you pay attention, you focus on this training, and you analyze, you are correct option. And in some cases, you make mistakes. Well, continue, teachers, because when you practice much, you know much. And when you make mistakes, you learn. Here you have the answer key in order to practice at home again and again and again. Well, let's continue with the second part. Number 1. At the beginning of the school year, a third grade teacher wants to apply a questionnaire on what motivates her students to learn English. Among the following questions, which is the least important for the teacher to include in the questionnaire? A, how often do you use English out of school? B, what were your usual grades in English last year? C, What are your favorite kind of music or films in English? A, B, or C? A, B, or C? Number one, the second part. Number one, teachers Griselli, C. Teacher Cari, Eliana, Verónica, Walter, Eliana, B. B, Alcira, B. Most of you share option B. Let's see. Well, at the beginning of the school year, a third grade teacher wants to apply a questionnaire on what motivates her students to learn English. Among the following questions, which is the least important for the teacher to include in the questionnaire, least important. How often do you use English out of school? B, what were your usual grades in English last year? Here, based on the use, here about usual grades in English last year. And what are your favorite kind of music or film in English? Because a questionnaire based on what motivates her students to learn English. Most of you share option B, few teachers option C. Here I have more. Teacher Karina, B. Exactly, teachers. The correct option is option B. Because do you consider, okay, here the question is, which is the least important? The least important for the teacher to include in the questionnaire, which is the least important, the least question, okay? Here you have questions. How often do you use English out of school? It's important, this question, because what motivates her students to learn English? B, what were your usual grades? Grades, you know grades? Do you consider this question is important to include on the questionnaire? In C, what are your favorite kind of music or films in English? So, least important, option B, because about grades. Okay, this question is least important because some of your learners or some of them at the end of the year, okay, or at the end of the year, or maybe C or B or A or AD, I don't know. For this reason, it's important to take into account those questions. And based on this, what motivates your students to learn English? What motivates? So this question is least important. Option B. Option B. Well done, teachers. Well done. Don't worry, teacher. Read carefully and then let's continue. Don't worry, but it's important to take into account. Least important. Underline or circle. Don't waste your time during the exam and here in this training. It's important, underline, circle. Number 2. When listening to audios, a group of students has problems to identify the main idea of the recording. In order to help them focus on this particular aspect, the teacher selected 3 short audios for which they have to answer the question. What is the conversation about? Which of the following listening skill is the teacher practicing with his or her students? A, listening for gist. B, predicting content. C, inferring the meaning of the words. Listening for gist, predicting content, or inferring the meaning of the words. Number 2. Number 2. Number 2, teacher Alcira, Verónica, Wilton, A, Walter, Eliana, Garina, Cari, A. All of you share option A, alternative letter A. When listening to audios, this situation based on listening. Listening skill. Listening is a receptive skill. Receptive. Why listening is a receptive skill? Because when learners, graders, or students listen to any audio, they receive information. For this reason, listening is a receptive skill. A group student has problems to identify the main idea. Main idea sounds familiar for you. Remember, because I emphasize main idea, general idea. So, main idea, the main idea. The main idea. So, identify the main idea of the recording. In order to help them focus on this particular aspect, the teacher selected 3 short audios for which they have to answer the question. Answer the question. What is the conversation about, my dear teachers? What is the conversation about? Is a common question when learners get the main idea, the general idea, as a global understanding. Which of the following listening skill is the teacher practicing with his or her students? Listening for gist. When you have gist, this term gist, relate to main idea, general idea, global understanding, or in other words, no details, no details, no details, general idea, main idea, global understanding. This is listening for gist. And when you find what is the conversation about, because listening and reading, both listening and reading are receptive skills. And for both, listening or reading for gist, what is the conversation about? What is the test about, etc. Why not be? Why not be? Because predicting content, predicting. Learners can predict before they start listening to the audio. But here, what is the problem? To identify the main idea, teachers. If you know main idea, relate to gist, listening for gist in this case. Because when Minedu present reading, you are going to find the same main idea, general idea, right? So why not inferring the meaning of the words, inferring or deducing the meaning of the words? Remember, when you are solving these situations or your Minedu exam, it's important to deduce meaning from context because you don't know the meaning of all the words. And remember, a word has different meanings, depends on the context. But here, the correct option is option A, listening for gist. And congratulations, because all of you share option A. Teacher Griselli B, before listening the activity, right? Eliana, general idea, Griselli G's global understanding. Very good, teachers. Class for you, class for you. Is it clear, teachers? Is it clear, yes or no? Let me know. Yes, thank you, teacher Griselli. You know, based on your training and during 2 hours, teachers, then you can continue with your activity. During this training, no mobile phone, no television, no WhatsApp, no family between quotation. Then when you have finished, you continue with your activities. Number three. A teacher wants to help his students reinforce their speaking skills through the topic negotiating deals. The teacher wants to set the context before the speaking activity. Given this goal, which of the following strategies is not appropriate? A. Distributing flashcards about department stores. B. Playing a video about traditional market. C. Handing out a grammar worksheet. A, B, or C? Which of the following strategies is not appropriate? Number 3. Number 3. Teacher Cari, sí. Eliana, Wilton, Alcira, Griselli, Karina, Verónica, Walter, sí. A teacher wants to help his student reinforce their speaking skill. Reinforce students' speaking. Speaking is a productive skill. Speaking is an interactive skill. Through the topic negotiating deals. Negotiating, this is the topic. The teacher wants to set the contest before the speaking activity. When the teacher wants to set the contest is in, before the teacher starts the speaking activity. Given this goal, which of the following strategy is not appropriate? Is not appropriate. Here you have, when you underline or circle keywords, those keywords help you to choose the correct option. So the teacher wants to help his student reinforce speaking skill. Okay, that's good. What is the topic? Negotiating deals. And what does the teacher want? The teacher wants to set the contest before the speaking activity. The question is, which of the following strategy is not appropriate? In option A, distributing flashcards about department stores, because the topic is negotiating deals. Flashcards. B, playing a video about traditional market. Well, and C, handing out a grammar worksheet. Grammar worksheet. Imagine, if the teacher wants to reinforce speaking skill, to set the content before the speaking activity, if the teacher presents or handing out a grammar worksheet, this strategy is not appropriate because grammar, and here you have speaking, but to set the content before the speaking activity, before. So this strategy, handing out a grammar worksheet, is not appropriate. The correct option is option C or alternative letter C. Letter C. Well done, teachers. Check number 3. Good answer. Your answer is correct. Is it clear? Number 4. The teacher has taught her students to describe future events. Now she wants to conduct a freer speaking activity in a personalized and meaningful way. In order to achieve this goal, which of the following activities is appropriate? A. Students watch a video and transcribe every sentence they hear in the future tense. B. Students ask their partners what they are going to do on their next vacation and make follow-up questions. C. The teacher shows some flashcards of different characters and asks the students to make a story on them using the future tense. A, B, or C, number 4. Number 4, teacher Alcira, Walter, Verónica, Karina, B, Cari, B, Wilton A, Eliana B. B or A? Walter, Alcira B. B or A? A or B? Well, in this situation, number 4, the teacher has told her students to describe future events. Now, she wants to conduct a freer speaking activity. Free speaking activity in a personalized and meaningful way. Personalized and meaningful way. My dear teachers, when you find this term meaningful, it refers to meaningful. 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 Meaningful refers the activity is useful, relevant, and in real situation. When you find that term meaningful, it refers the activity is useful, okay, relevant, and in real situation. So, the teacher wants to conduct a freer speaking speaking activity. Speaking, remember, speaking is an interactive skill. In a personalized and meaningful way. In order to achieve this goal, which of the following activities is appropriate? Which of the following activities is appropriate? Appropriate. A student watch a video and transcribe every sentence they hear in the future tense. Transcribe. But here, it's important to take into account freer activity in a personalized and meaningful way. Speaking. And here, students watch a video and transcribe. So, be careful. In option B, students ask their partners what they are going to do on their next vacation and make follow-up questions. Do you consider this activity is appropriate? Because most of you share option B. In option or alternative letter C, the teacher shows some flashcards of different characters and asks the students to make a story on them using the future tense. Which one? Roseli B. Thank you. What do you think, teacher Wilton? A or B? A or B, teacher Wilton? Number 4, the correct option is option B. Option B, teachers, option B. Oops. Option B. Because you notice, freer speaking. Ask their partner what they are going to do on their next vacation and make follow-up questions because it's speaking. In A, no, because students watch a video and transcribe, write every sentence they hear in the future tense. So the correct option is option B. And why not C? Because in C, the teacher shows some flashcards of different characters and asks the students to make, okay, here, make a story. Make a story, but the purpose is to, here, an activity in a personalized and meaningful way based on a speaking activity, speaking. Now, number 5. Is it clear, teacher, number 4? Well done, teachers, well done. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, teacher Griseli. Number 5. Carla reads story in English to her third grade students at a public high school. Which of the following activities is appropriate to develop her students' listening comprehension skills? A. Have them try to translate the story into their native language. B. Have them write a continuation of the story with the new characters. C. Organize them in pairs and have them discuss what the story is about. A, B, or C. Number 5. Number 5, teachers Walter, Cari, Eliana, Wilton, Alcira. Alternative letter C, letter C. Carla reads a story in English to her third grade students at a public high school. Which of the following activities is appropriate to develop her students' listening comprehension skills? Listening comprehension skills. A. Have them try to translate the story into their native language. Do you consider this activity is appropriate in order students develop listening comprehension skills? Option B, have them write a continuation of the story with the new characters. Listening comprehension. Focus on listening comprehension. And alternative letter C, organize them in pairs and have them discuss what the story is about. Okay, because this activity is appropriate in order students develop listening comprehension. Listening comprehension, because organize them in pairs. They're going to work in pairs and they are going to discuss what the story is about. So the correct option is option C. Good job, teachers. Good job. Congratulations. Number 5, alternative letter C. Number 6. After having been working on the topic daily routines for some sessions, Guillermo wants his students to develop their oral fluency on that topic. He puts the students in pairs and gives each pair a picture of a famous singer. He asks them to take turns describing the singer's daily routine. While monitoring, the teacher notices that a couple of students say the following sentences. He is get up at 10 a.m. and he don't have to work. Given that situation, which strategy is it appropriate for Guillermo to carry out? A. Kindly interrupt the two students and indicate their errors. Then give them a short explanation about the correct use of the simple present tense. Option B. Don't make any comments on the students' mistakes and let them finish. When the activity is over, remind all the students how the simple present tense is formed. C. Approach a student that has problems using the simple present tense. Echo the student's sentence, emphasizing the problem, and ask him to say the sentence again. A, B, or C. Analyze carefully. Number 6. Number 6. Number 6, teachers. Walter, B. Karina, C. Verónica, Cari, Eliana, B. Wait, B or C? Most of you share option B. Few teachers C. Let's analyze. After having been working on the topic daily routines for some sessions, Guillermo wants his students to develop their oral fluency. Oral fluency. When you identify this oral fluency, it refers to speaking. Speaking, because fluency relates to speaking, right? Oral fluency, speaking. On that topic, what is the topic? Daily routines. He puts the students in pairs and give each pair a picture of a famous singer. He asks them to take turns describing the singer's daily routine. While monitoring, the teacher notices that a couple of students say the following sentences. He is get up at 10 a.m. and he don't have to work. He don't have to work. Given that situation, which strategy is it appropriate for Guillermo to carry out? So as you notice, in those couple of sentences here, you have, he is get up, he is get up, and he don't have to work. But the purpose is to develop oral fluency. Oral fluency related to speaking. But given that situation, which strategy is it appropriate for Guillermo to carry out? A, kindly interrupt. The teacher interrupt, kindly but interrupt. Interrupt two students and indicate their errors. Then give them a short explanation. The teacher gives the students a short explanation about the correct use of the simple present tense. My dear teachers, you have here fluency, okay, based on speaking, but when we talk about the correct use of grammar, it refers to the correct use of grammar. The correct use of grammar corresponds to, who remembers? Who remembers? The correct use of grammar corresponds to accuracy. Very good, teacher Alcira. Accuracy. Accuracy. When here, the correct use of the simple present tense. It refers to accuracy, but here you have fluency. The purpose is to develop their oral fluency. So fluency. But here, the teacher interrupts. Then the teacher gives the students a short explanation about the correct use of the simple present tense. This strategy is not appropriate because here corresponds to accuracy. But what is the purpose? Develop their oral fluency. B, don't make any comments on the student mistakes. Don't make, the teacher doesn't make any comments on the student mistake and let them finish. Then, when the activity is over, remind all the students how the simple present tense is formed. Do you consider this strategy is appropriate? Because the purpose is to develop oral fluency. And the teacher doesn't make any comments and let them finish. When the activity is over, remind all the students how the simple present tense is formed. Most of you share option B, but let's analyze option or alternative letter C. Approach each student, approach that has problems using the simple present tense. Echo the students, emphasize, okay? Echo the student's sentence, emphasizing the problem and ask him to say the sentence again. Which one? B or C? What do you think, teacher? Karina? Teacher Karina, do you consider option C? Reflect on your answers. Yes. Okay. But the correct alternative, teachers, is alternative or option B. B. Option B. Don't make any comments on the student mistakes and let them finish. Then when the activity is over, remind all the students how the simple present tense is formed. Why? Because the purpose is develop oral fluency. The purpose is not to know the correct use of the simple present tense. The purpose is not to develop accuracy. The purpose is to develop oral fluency, students' oral fluency. Okay, teachers, be careful. In option C or alternative letter C, approach a student that has problems using the simple present tense. But here the teacher focus on accuracy, because if the teacher realize the student has problems, the teacher approach on the students and then echo the student's sentence, emphasizing the problem and ask him to say the sentence again. But this strategy is not appropriate according to the purpose, teacher. According to the purpose, right? Echo the student's sentence, emphasizing the problem and ask him to say the sentence again. Only focus on the students who has problems, no more. But focus on accuracy. But the purpose is to develop oral fluency. Oral, right? Be careful, be careful. Accuracy focus on or refers to the correct use of grammar. Accuracy. Okay. Now the correct option is option B. Is it clear, teacher Karina? Thank you, teacher Karina. Okay. This is the purpose, teachers. I am here in order to share with you, explain why A, why not B or C, etc. Right? Because you are here in order to practice, to reinforce, to review, to refresh. And 50% depends on me in this training, and 50% depends on you. During your Minedo exam, 100% depends on you. Number 7. The teacher conducts a reading activity on a narrative test and has just set the context of the material. The students are about to read the test for the first time, and the teacher wants them to do so effectively. What instruction should be given? A. Try to determine the main idea. B. Focus on what kind of verbs are used. C. Underline the new expressions displayed. A, B, or C. Number 7. Number 7, Teacher Walter, Alcira, Karina, A. Cari, Eliana, Verónica, A. Most of you share option A. The teacher conducts a reading activity. Reading. Remember, reading is a receptive skill. Receptive. On a narrative test. And has just set the context. Set the context of the material. Set the context of the material. The students are about to read the test for the first time. First time. And the teacher wants them to do so effectively. What instruction should be given? A. Try to determine the main idea. B. Focus on what kind of verbs. Here you have main idea. Focus on what kind of verbs are used. And C. Underline the new expressions displayed. Most of you share option A. Try to Determine the main idea. Because as you notice here, the students are about to read the text for the first time. First time. Keyword first time. Main idea, general idea as a global understanding because it's the first time. So the correct alternative is alternative letter A. Letter A. And most of you share option A. A. Congratulations, teacher Walter, Alcira, Karina, Cari, Eliana, Verónica. Very good. Go on, number 8. In a fifth year class of high school, every student has received the material for the next activity and the teacher has just finished giving instructions about the task students need to do. At this point, the teacher wants to make sure students have understood what to do before letting them begin the activity. Keeping this goal in mind, what should the teacher do? A. The teacher should paraphrase once again all the instructions, but this time in the student's native language. B. The teacher should repeat the same instructions in English as many times as necessary. C. The teacher should ask the students to explain what is expected in simple words in English. A, B, or C. Number 8. Number 8. Number 8, teacher Walter, Alcira, sí, Cari, Eliana, Verónica, sí. No more answers. Number 8, Verónica, Eliana, Cari, Alcira, Walter. Option C. In a fifth year class of high school, every student has received the material for the next activity, and the teacher has just finished giving the instructions about the tasks students need to do. At this point, the teacher wants to make sure students have understood what to do before letting them begin the activity. This is the purpose. The teacher wants to make sure students have understood what to do before letting them begin the activity. Keeping this goal in mind, what should the teacher do? A. The teacher should paraphrase once again all the instructions, but this time in students' native language. Native. It means, what does native language? A student's native language. Native language. It refers to native, a student's native language. It refers to native Spanish, of course, Spanish. Native language, native. Do you consider this is the correct option? What should the teacher do? Or option B, the teacher should repeat the same instructions in English as many times as necessary. Imagine. The teacher repeat the same instructions in English as many times as necessary. In option C, the teacher should ask a student to explain what is expected in simple words in English. The teacher should ask a student to explain, what is expected in simple words, okay? In English, but using simple words. So this is the correct alternative. Option C. Option C. And all of you, or most of you, because there are more teachers here in the room, but here only few teachers share their answers. Congratulations, teachers. Number 8, alternative letter C. Is it clear? Number 9, choose the right alternative to complete the gap. If I would have visited her a long time ago. As you notice, this sentence refers to conditionals. Conditional, because you have if. In some sentences, we need to present if. In another, instead of if. Another, instead of if. Another word instead of if. When, right? When. Identify which conditional is it. Which conditional is it? Okay? Identify which conditional is it. The zero, the first, the second, or the third. Read carefully, teacher. Read carefully. When? Number 9. Number 9. Number 9, teacher Alcira, C, Griseli, close, Wilton B, Griseli B. Only three teachers, and the rest of the teachers? Well, now, here you have conditional, right? You have if, okay, if, when you find this word if refers to conditional if or when. Instead of if, when. Instead of when, if, comma. When we talk about that zero conditional, remember zero conditional, the condition present simple, the result present simple. This is very important to take into account. In the zero conditional, remember the condition present simple and the result present simple. The condition present simple, the result present simple. In the first conditional, the condition present simple and the result will or won't. Will or won't in negative. And after will or won't, the verb in the base form. This is in the first conditional. In the second conditional, the condition past simple, and the result good. And after good, the verb in the base form. Do you consider, because some teachers share, if I found her address, I could have visited her a long time ago. But some of you share, I had found her address, I could have visited her a long time. In the third conditional, the condition past perfect. The condition past perfect and the result would have, okay, would have, and after would have, the verb in past participle. So, B or C? Teacher Eliana, C. Cari, your answer is B. Okay, teacher Cari. You changed, right? You changed, teacher Cari. You change. Well, this sentence corresponds to the third conditional, teachers. This is the third conditional. Okay, third conditional. This sentence corresponds to the third conditional. So in the third conditional, as I told before, the condition past perfect. The conditions past perfect. Now, identify past perfect here. A, B, or C? Past perfect. I find her address. I find is not past perfect. I found is simple past, right? Or present simple or simple past, because here you have present. This is past. But here is past perfect. Had found. Had found. This is past perfect. Had and the verb in past participle, you know? And the result, would have. Would have. After would have, the verb in past participle. The past participle of regular or irregular verbs. So, A, B, or C? A, B, or C? Yes, teacher, C. You have some doubts, right, teacher Kari? Because at the first time, you chose C, and then you change, right? It happens. It happens during the exam, teachers. It happens. A recommendation. When you are not sure, because in some cases you're going to guess, you're going to speculate, right? Because you are not sure, you have some doubts. I recommend when you have some doubts, some difficulties, and at the first time, your eyes, your thoughts, okay, because you analyze, but you are not sure, you have some troubles, A, B, or C. If your eyes at the first time focus on A, for example, choose A, or B, or C. In some cases, it's correct, and in another, it's incorrect, but anyway, you are not sure. During the exam, you have some trouble, difficulties. In some cases, it's correct. For example, teacher Kari, you change, but in this case, at the first time, your answer was correct, and then you change, and well, but it happens, teachers, during the exam. It happens, right? But for the reason, it's important to review conditionals, right? In this case, conditional. If you know conditionals and identify the first or the zero, the first, the second, or the third, you are going to choose the correct option or alternative. This is present, this is past perfect. The third conditional, here you have the condition past perfect, the result would have. After would have, the verb in past participle, right? The verb in past participle. Imagine you only have good. Here, good. Okay, here, past simple. This is the second conditional, right? But only good. But here you have good have visited. Good have visited. Good have. Remember, when you find good have, immediately relate to the third conditional. The third conditional. You have good, only good. Good. And after good, the verb in the past participle. Good. Good visited, for example. Good visited. Here, in the condition, past simple, past simple. In the first conditional, present simple, but in the result, will. When you find will in the result, okay, it refers to the first conditional, the first conditional. If, exactly. If future, right. In the first conditional, if, okay, present simple and will, future. Yes. Well, teachers. Now let's see number. Okay, the correct option is option C. Number 10. The teacher is about to work on describing past events. He wants to conduct a cognitive conflict activity using lexical cards. LC refers to lexical cards, plural. To make students aware of the difference between 5 regular and irregular verbs. These are the lexical cards that teacher intends to use. LC1, lexical card number 1. Last night, my brother and I prepared some snacks. Then he watched our favorite TV series in the living room. LC2. After that, we did our dishes and took out the garbage. In order to create cognitive conflict, each of the following strategies is more appropriate. A. The teacher shows LC1 to his students and asks these questions. What did they do last night? What did they do afterwards? The teacher elicits and checks the answers. Next, he shows LC2 and asks them to continue the story combining regular and irregular verbs. B. The teacher shows LC1 and LC2 to his students and asks them to find the pronouns and the verbs. Then he explains that the conjugated form is the same for all pronouns. After that, the teacher shows two lists with some regulars and irregular form in the past tense for the students to read aloud. C. The teacher shows LC1 and asks students to find the main verbs. They realize that verbs with ed at the end refer to the simple past. Then he shows LC2 and asks them to find the main verbs. Afterwards, he asks, what happened to the verbs? Then he explained that there are two types of verbs, A, B, or C. Number 10. Number 10. Teacher Alcira. Sí. Eliana, sí. Teacher Silvia. Okay, teacher, don't worry. It happens, teacher. Internet. It happens. Don't worry. Teacher Wilton, Silvia, and teacher Walter, C. All of you share option C. Option C, right? So, as you notice, this situation based on cognitive conflict activity. And here you have lexical cards, okay? 2 lexical cards. And in order to create cognitive conflict, which of the following strategies is more appropriate? More appropriate. As you notice in option A, the teacher shows LC1 to his students and asks these questions. What did you do last night? And what did they do afterwards? The teacher elicits, the teacher asks and checks the answer. Next, he shows LC2 and asks them to continue the story, combining regular and irregular verbs. Let's analyze option B, because here the question is, which of the following strategy is more appropriate in order the students create cognitive conflict? According to LC cards, according to here you have 5 regular and irregular verbs. In option B, the teacher shows LC1 and LC2 to his students and asks them to find the pronouns and the verbs. Then the teacher explains, he explains that the conjugated form is the same for all pronouns. The teacher explains. After that, the teacher, the teacher is the center here. The teacher shows 2 lists with some regular and irregular form in the past tense for the students to read. In option C, the teacher shows LC1 and asks the students to find, the main verbs. The student they realize that verbs with ed at the end refer to the simple past. Then he shows LC2 and asks them to find the main verbs. Afterwards, the teacher asks, what happened to the verbs? Then he explains that because here, it's a process here. The teacher asks students to find the main verbs. Then the students realize that verbs with ed at the end refers to the simple past. Then the teacher shows LC2 and asks them to find the main verbs. Afterwards, he asks what happened to the verbs. What happened to the verbs? Then he explains that there are 2 types of verbs. So this strategy is more appropriate in order to create cognitive conflict, right? So the correct alternative for situation number 10 is alternative letter C. Letter C. Well, teachers, is it clear, number 10? Let me see. Only a teacher. Yes, thank you, teacher Kari. Well, teachers, I have an information for you, an important information for you. Well, I'm going to give this information in Spanish because here, let me see. Because Piaget Educa recommend me to give an important information. Well, teachers. Bueno, estimados colegas, espero que el día de hoy, quienes están integrándose o se van a integrar, pues la invitación es para aquellos colegas que todavía no se han inscrito. El día 1 de junio empieza el nuevo inicio de ciclo. Así que están todos correctamente, están invitados para aquellos que todavía no se han inscrito, pues el día de hoy han tenido esta oportunidad de escuchar y vamos a seguir así, desarrollando más estudios de caso y reforzando los temas que el Ministerio de Educación presenta en su temario. Bien, entonces esa es la invitación y espero verlos pues la próxima clase, a todos los que están presentes el día de hoy y de repente más también. Las clases son los días martes y los días viernes, de 7:30 a 9:30. Son 2 horas, ¿no? En total, a la semana son 4 horas a la semana en la cual estamos revisando diferentes estudios de caso con diferentes temas también incluidos y la explicación por cada uno de ellos, ¿no? Yo enfatizo mucho en cómo subrayar el tema, el propósito, la pregunta y analizar alternativa por alternativa, ¿no? Entonces, colegas, recuerden, este 1 de junio empieza el nuevo inicio de ciclo. Bien, entonces, muchas gracias por su atención. Thank you so much for your participation and interaction, and see you next class. Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you, teacher Cady, Wilton, Eliana. Goodbye. Take care. Goodbye, teachers. Goodbye, teacher Sylvia. See you. Has and blessings, teacher Alcira, Griseli, Cari. Thank you. Goodbye. Take care, teacher Walter. Teacher Veronica. Thank you. I appreciate your words. Thank you. Thank you, Piaget Educa.